Sarah Chen gripped $1,247 in her wallet, the sum of her world in worn bills, as she hurried down Maple Street. She was already 20 minutes late for her second job, but the sight of an elderly man struggling at the crosswalk stopped her cold. At 24, Sarah knew kindness was a luxury she could scarcely afford. Every minute was a tightrope walk between paying rent and facing eviction. Mornings found her at Miller's Diner in Willowbrook, pouring coffee for truckers with weary eyes and quick banter. Afternoons, she darted across town to stock shelves at Peterson's grocery, her hands moving fast to keep up with the demands of survival. Yet, on that crisp September Tuesday, with the sun casting long shadows, Sarah's rush faltered. The old man, leaning on a cane, stood at the busy intersection, cars speeding past without a glance. His weathered face, etched with quiet pride, held the look of someone who needed help but wouldn't ask. Sarah stepped closer, her voice soft. "Excuse me, sir, need a hand crossing?" His blue eyes, framed by wire-rimmed glasses, met hers with a spark of gratitude. "That's mighty kind, young lady," he said, his voice carrying the slow, warm cadence of small-town life. "I'd appreciate the company." Sarah offered her arm, and they waited for the traffic light to change. His steps were slow, deliberate, each one a testament to dignity despite age's toll. "I'm Henry," he said as they reached the other side. "Henry Morrison." "Sarah Chen," she replied, stealing a glance at her watch, now 25 minutes late. But Henry's gentle smile, the kind that felt like a warm hearth, made the delay feel worthwhile. "Heading to work?" he asked, noting her fidgeting hands adjusting the strap of her worn purse. She nodded. "Peterson's grocery. I handle inventory and stocking." Henry studied her, his gaze curious, not judging. "You work hard for someone so young." "2 jobs, Sarah admitted, her tone matter of fact, not bitter. "Saving for community college. Business administration. Someday." Henry's eyes crinkled with approval. "Education's a fine investment. No one can take that from you." They lingered on the sidewalk, and Sarah, usually racing against time, found herself reluctant to leave. Henry's calm presence reminded her of her grandfather, gone 3 years now, whose stories had filled her childhood with warmth. "I should let you get to work," Henry said, sensing her internal tug of war. "Thank you, Sarah Chen, for taking time to help an old man. Not everyone would." "No trouble at all," she said, meaning it. "Take care, Mr. Morrison." Over the next few weeks, Sarah's path crossed Henry's again and again on her route between jobs. Each encounter wove a thread of familiarity. She helped him cross streets, carried his grocery bags, and learned he lived alone, shopped twice a week, and always had peppermint candies tucked in his pocket. He asked about her life, her shifts, her family, her dreams of college, with a quiet curiosity that made her feel seen. One afternoon, as she helped him carry groceries to his well-kept but aging pickup truck, he asked, "How much are those college classes?" Sarah sighed, her voice tinged with frustration. "About $800 a course. At this rate, it'll take 2 years to afford even one." Henry nodded, thoughtful, offering no unsolicited advice, which she appreciated. Too many people had opinions on how she should live, as if 2 jobs and a studio apartment were choices, not necessities. One rainy October morning, Sarah was wiping down tables at Miller's Diner when she spotted Henry outside, his cap damp but his posture steady. "Good morning, Sarah," he said, tipping his cap. "Got a few minutes to talk?" Concern flickered through her. "Of course. Everything okay?" He gestured to a small cafe across the street. "Can I buy you a coffee? There's something I'd like to discuss." They settled into a corner booth, the scent of fresh coffee mingling with rain-soaked air. Henry pulled an envelope from his jacket and set it on the table. "Sarah," he began, his tone careful, "I haven't told you much about myself." Her stomach tightened. Serious conversations rarely brought good news. "I own a farm," he continued. "Actually, several farms, some commercial properties in town, and investments that have done well over the years." Sarah blinked, confused. I don't understand. Henry's smile was gentle, almost shy. I'm what folks here call rich, though I've never cared for the word. Point is, I've got more money than I need and no family to leave it to. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Sarah's world tilted. For the past month, Henry said, I've watched you help a stranger, me, without knowing my circumstances. You've been kind, even when you were rushed, even with your own worries. Her throat tightened. Mr. Morrison, I don't know what you're saying. He slid the envelope toward her. I'm saying kindness matters, Sarah. And I want to help with those college classes. Her fingers trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a check made out to her for $25,000. Mr. Morrison, she whispered, I can't accept this. You can, and you will, he said, firm but kind. Consider it an investment in education, like we talked about. She stared at the check, then at Henry's face, where quiet satisfaction glowed. Why me? She asked, tears welling. Because, he said simply, in a world where most folks are too busy to notice an old man needing help, you stopped. You didn't know I had money. You helped because it was right. That check changed everything. Sarah enrolled in college immediately, diving into business administration with a hunger to prove herself. Henry became more than a benefactor, he became a mentor, offering guidance as she navigated her studies. Their conversations, often over coffee or during walks, grew into a bond that felt like family. He shared stories of his youth, of building his farms from nothing, while she confided her fears of failing, of not being enough. You're enough, he'd say, his voice steady. You've always been enough. 2 years later, Sarah walked across the stage at her graduation, her diploma a testament to her grit. In the audience, Henry clapped with the pride of a grandfather, his eyes bright behind those familiar glasses. At the reception, he pulled her aside. Helping you, he said, has been one of the greatest privileges of my life. Not because of the money, that was easy, but because I got to watch you turn opportunity into achievement. Sarah hugged him, her voice thick. Mr. Morrison, you changed my life with your generosity. He shook his head. Sarah, you changed your own life with your character. I just gave you a nudge. Inspired by her journey, Sarah started a YouTube channel called MidnightTales, where she shared stories of kindness and perseverance, hoping to inspire others. Her videos, raw and heartfelt, recounted moments like helping Henry cross the street, weaving lessons of compassion with practical tips for chasing dreams against the odds. MidnightTales grew steadily, resonating with viewers who saw their own struggles in hers. After graduation, with Henry's encouragement, Sarah launched a small consulting business, helping family farms modernize. Henry was her first client, his trust in her unwavering. Their relationship evolved from benefactor and recipient to true friendship, built on mutual respect. When Henry passed away peacefully at 86, Sarah felt the loss like a piece of her heart had gone with him. But his legacy lived on. Using her savings and earnings from MidnightTales, Sarah founded the Henry Morrison Kindness Scholarship. It wasn't for straight-A students or those with the most need, it was for young people who showed compassion in small, everyday ways. Helping an elderly neighbor, volunteering at a food bank, stopping to assist a stranger at a crosswalk, these were the acts that mattered. Sarah knew, as Henry had taught her, that kindness was the world's truest currency, often repaid in ways no one could predict. Years later, as her consulting business became a regional success and MidnightTales reached thousands, Sarah stood at the scholarship's first award ceremony. A young woman, much like Sarah had been, received the first check. She'd been spotted helping an elderly man cross a busy street, unaware anyone was watching. As Sarah handed her the award, she saw Henry's smile in her mind, his words echoing, "You helped because it was right." The ripple of that one act, stopping on Maple Street, had spread far beyond Sarah's own life. It touched the scholarship recipients, her MidnightTales viewers, and the farmers she helped thrive. Kindness, she realized, wasn't a luxury at all. It was a spark, igniting circles of generosity that could light up the world.